C'est bon. C'est bon. C'est bon. Tout le temps. Pourquoi pas? Dans tes yeux, je vois tant de plaisir. Tant de plaisir. Embrasse-moi. Embrasse-moi. Plus fort. Plus fort. Encore. Encore. Encore.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Dragonborn right here with Bremen from Broken Myth. How's it going, Bremen?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun today.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Today is going to be a very special edition of Vertigo TV. We are not going to be hosting any games. All the good teams that are that be interested in watching, that any of you guys would be interested in watching, are playing in the VGL competition. They're competing in VGL. So there's really there's little reason to get them on here when you can go watch them play, hopefully in VGL, because they're busy focusing on that. So it's not really something we could have even scheduled for this week and for next. So the next 2 weeks, you will be getting Bremen and I, and maybe some other guests, to kind of run through what's happening in VGL, talk about a lot of cool news, maybe even stir up some drama. There's a lot happening, man.
I love drama, man. This has already been a pretty exciting week, and we got some things to talk about. Now, I know we didn't talk about this in our little pre-meeting, but if we're doing a Sports Center thing, I would love to be the Shaq of our team here. Is that all right?
The Shaq. Well, if you're the Shaq, I'm going to be the Chuck.
Fantastic.
It's terrible. It's terrible, Shock.
Daystars did a great job this week.
No, they didn't. They did terrible. So, anyways, that is where we're at right now. Thanks for everybody for coming out. We're gonna get started here in just a second. Do just want to shout out to our sponsors of Vertigo TV, the Band application. They bring us a lot. They actually are sponsoring VGL as well. So Band is an integral part of Vainglory. It's blowing up. You see all the big organizations are starting to use Band because Band has something that nobody else has, and that is the ability to manage organizations from like scheduling votes, polls, keeping things separate, having moderation over stuff. So big shout out to Ban. And this is also, we're partnered with Glomtom. They're actually sold out. So as much as I'd love for you guys to go and buy a Glomtom and use our code Vertigo, they recently got bought and they're going to be relaunching the same product but under a new name, I think, or something's going on there. So stay tuned for that. Some cool news.
Well, that's exciting. Good for them.
Yeah, very exciting stuff going on there. So anyways, we're going to get right into some cool discussions into the Vainglory world. And the very first thing that we want to talk about is this whole VGL that's going on. A little bit different this year. Not a lot different. Some of the things are the same.
Yeah, I think they a lot of the same teams and a lot of the same structure, but I think they streamlined things quite a bit with these the new bracket system and the smaller amount of teams to start.
Yeah, so a big change from like the more public side of the VGL, which is the more professional side. They've only got, last year I think the first event had 128 teams. They try to do everything. This year it's really only 64, but they have something to kind of counter that, and that's the amateur series.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for teams that maybe didn't get their team elo as high as they would have liked to still have a shot at making their way into the second qualifier and then the finals.
Yeah, it seems pretty ambitious though. What's coming out of the amateur series? I heard 1,000 teams or something like that.
How do you keep track of that?
I have no idea.
I'm not organized enough. Good for them.
They are, VGL is continually proving how professional they are. They have they've really stepped it up. So I'm big shout out to VGL. We're definitely fans here, but we'll definitely try to talk about as much drama and maybe get into a little bit of trouble as we go on. One of the things though that we do want to just mention kind of briefly is the point system. This was here last year, but it just to re-clarify, because we're going to talk a little bit more about the points and like kind of like some rules that are not quite clear. And there was a lot of drama that happened last year, and potentially there's potential for that to happen this year as we get into where points go. The point system is pretty clear. I think I got some screenshots of the point system, how it works, but basically, if you get into the top 16 teams, you get points for both events. The top teams obviously get a lot of points. You're talking like starting with 85, but the first event is a lot less points. So the first event, if you get into the top 16, you get 10 points automatically compared to 15 points in event 2. And then of course the top 8, the top 4, the top 2, the top 1. There's a hierarchy to points of that system. So pretty cool that they've done that. But event 2 is where the emphasis on. You really want to do better in event 2 than event 1. Event 1 is kind of like the placement, really. It's the qualifier for the qualifier. You know, kind of gets everyone grounded. Where does everyone sit? It's really going to affect the rankings when you get into event 2. So I'm pretty excited to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They call it the first and the second qualifier, but this really feels like the qualifier. This is your opportunity to really set yourself up, moving into the second qualifier, which is going to get you a nice seed, depending on how your team does, moving towards the finals, get those extra points.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, man. It's really important that you show up for the first qualifier, but it's more important that you just get your feet wet. You go out there, you play, you learn what works, what doesn't work. And then get ready for the event 2, because doing well in the event 2, like if you get into the top 8 in the second event, you're pretty much all the way there to getting secure, because a lot of the teams that get into the top 8 in the first event are going to probably be there. So any upset you make though can actually push you up. So I would say getting in the top 16 is almost a must if you want to compete at VGL on stage, but not getting in the top 8 or top 4 maybe is not as important, although it will secure your seed going into the event 2 and then of course into the VGL finals.
Yeah. I hope that makes sense to everybody, but it's actually a really smart system, and it's really going to set things up fairly for all the teams.
It is extremely ambitious though if you think about it. So every season they're doing 3 events. They're doing the first qualifier, they're doing the second qualifier, and then they're doing the finals.
That is a lot. But it's also a great opportunity for teams, because the way this game goes, it's not always going to be your day, and they have a chance to come back and then, score a little points later on and still get themselves, the appropriate rank that they would deserve as a team.
Absolutely. Yep. No, they really are trying to make sure that everyone has a shot at getting in, at having, all the good teams have a shot, but there's going to be a lot going on. So someone says, when do you guys play Synergy? So actually Vertigo does play Synergy at 5:30 today. So right while we're streaming, you're going to see mid-game stream. It is going to happen. So pretty excited about that. Hey Fred, how's it going? Synergy pulled out? What? That seems like a shock, but anyways, hopefully we're not getting trolled there. So moving on to some of the other cool topics we've got for today. We've got like a round table of topics, and one of the things that we want to get into is one of the changes to VGL this year is possibly the increase of professional organizations. Maybe not. There's a lot of things going on there. So last season, we had just Gangstars and HH. These were organizations that publicly acknowledged paying their players in North America. On the Europe side, we had SK and G2 Gaming, and we had a lot of pro organizations out there that are doing a lot of great stuff. But from North America, it's been kind of just Gangstars and HH paying their players, even though there were a lot of other dominant teams. This season saw the introduction of 2 other organizations and potentially a third, but there's a lot of drama around what's going on with these. And Beeman, I love drama. You love drama.
I do.
So let's talk about. So the first is Virtue Gaming.
Yes.
Virtue Gaming came into the fold. They picked up Team Mafia. That actually just happened like a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And then we were actually doing our meeting minutes yesterday, and we were under the assumption that Virtue Gaming was still in it. Virtue Gaming lost in VGL in the round of 64. They actually, it wasn't an upset, but they did lose. What ensued, though, was it seems like this, again, guys, we're not entirely sure. We don't have all the facts, but it looks like Virtue Gaming and Mafia split up. So Virtue Gaming Vainglory split up from Virtue. That is that's kind of surprising, but a little sad. But then again, not entirely surprised. It's surprising in the sense it happened so quickly, but it's maybe indicative of where Vainglory is right now.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of a couple of things. Not with of course we don't have all the details here, but a lot of the guys who are getting really good at Vainglory, maybe this is their first professional game that they've really clicked with, so they don't have experience in a professional atmosphere, and you couple that with very relatively new organizations who are still trying to figure things out, still trying to get their feet wet in this new game, or maybe in the whole esports in general. Things are going to get a little sticky from time to time, and I think that's a little bit of what's been going on here. But things are going to even out. More people are going to get experience, and I think we're going to see a big boom in organizations, especially in the coming seasons. But it's very exciting to have extra organizations this time that we didn't in autumn.
Yeah, I mean, it is exciting. From what I can gather, it was just, you got a lot of these inexperienced people with organizations with contracts. There's a lot of these contracts that go around, and if you don't read these very thoroughly, you may not like what's in them. It may actually be detrimental to your team. Just make sure you guys read these, but also, I think there's a lot of expectations that comes when you get picked up by an outside sponsor. A lot of these companies are really more of like a sponsor. They really take over the name and over the team as a sponsor, kind of like what you would have where a team gets renamed like SK because SK's like Samsung sponsoring a team for LOL. They take over the name of the team. Their branding and the team become one. And I think it's a lot for these teams to handle. And I think that sometimes if they can get isolated from the Vainglory community, we're so small right now. So right now, like, it's not normal to be a branded company where or if you were, you had to have been an original Vainglory team like Gangstars and HH. And then you get sponsored and maybe people start looking at you differently or treating you differently. And that can kind of make you feel separated. But really disappointed to hear about that. Virtue Gaming right out the gate kind of struggles. Yeah. And I do know that Virtue Gaming is not opposed to trying again in Vainglory. I just think that their current, whatever they worked out with their current teams, that seemed to have fallen through.
Yeah. That's a shame that happened, and it happened very quickly. But I think everyone will bounce back on their feet.
I think so too. It's such a young community, so well known. Everyone knows everybody, and I think there's a lot of positive to it. It's a great sign. Another organization that came in was Savage Gaming. Although I don't think they had a team. I don't think they officially sponsored a team for this VGL. I think that's something to come.
Yeah, they just kind of popped up in the last couple of weeks. I saw a lot of action on Twitter, so good for them. It's exciting to have another team and another organization that's going to put a lot more structure to the professional scene.
Absolutely. But HH and Gangstars, you guys know them well. The only organization that really stuck out to me as, I guess, surprised that they don't pay their players or they don't publicly announce it is Ardent. Because we're now at the point where Ardent has cemented themselves as a top 3 contender every single season now. And this season is not alone. Although, interestingly enough, their top team is technically not under the Ardent brand. I don't know if you catched on this. I didn't notice it until recently, but Ardent Alliance is not called Ardent Alliance. It's called Alliance. Yeah,
they are just Alliance for this. And I don't have the details on that, but it is interesting. And it seems like a lot of the same players are still on the team. I Love Joseph came back, but, Shin Kaigen is a sub. As opposed to being one of the main Ardent Alliance guys for VIPL. But I think a lot of us kind of know that Shin Kaigen never intended to be a main player and a contender. And I think winning the championship was very exciting for him, but he's still trying to figure out where he wants to be in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, he's got a lot of other commitments in life. I think the reason why Ardent decided to go and pick up I Love Joseph is because they work well, but I Love Joseph still maintains his guild allegiance to Liberation. I Love Joseph actually left Ardent after he couldn't make it to the VIPL in Korea. He went over to Liberation and is actually on their roster, but he's not playing for them this season. He's playing with Alliance, which is an alliance, as the name says, an alliance between Liberation and Ardent. So very, very cool. That's a very strong team with I Love Joseph in the roster, and then Shin Kaigen as a backup. It has to be probably the deepest team in this VGL qualifiers.
Yeah, well said. I think you're right. I think they are a very substantial team, and they've got a lot of utility on their side with things they can do with the different players.
Yeah, so really excited for them. One of the last organizations that I don't have a lot of facts on this as well, but we have rumblings was, and unfortunately a lot of it blew up on Twitter for all of us to see and read. If you haven't, you probably should at least go look at things probably not to do when you're trying to run an organization, that is Team TAS. Team TAS was an organization. They actually were in last year's VGL finals. They did very, very well. They got into the qualifiers. They did well in both qualifiers. Very strong teams. Their team Frame Perfect, and then of course in this season they had Frame Perfect and Sequence Break. Team TAS unfortunately seemed to. They're actually in the VGLs. There was a reversal. They were gonna not be in the VGLs. A huge firestorm on Twitter.
Yeah.
What do you know about this, B-Man?
I know that there was a contention between one of the heads of Team TAS, Skipper, and contracts that were signed with the players, and then there was a split within the group, and some players were made to feel like they needed to leave Team TAS. Now that's all I'm able to glean from the tweets that I have read, but it seems like there was a little bit of a dissolution of Team TAS as it stood before. And some people didn't know where they were going or if they had a future with the team.
Yeah, I mean, Team TAS was on the verge of becoming a professional organization. There was rumblings about good things happening there. Their name, I believe, was in the process of being LLC. There was a lot of good things happening for TAS. It seems like just a complete explosion between one of the managers of the team, Skipper, and the owner of the originator of the team, Seaus. Sales and Team TAS, and they just completely there was a massive parting in the seas between those two guys, and a huge fallout, all displayed for you guys on Twitter, unless those tweets have been deleted. And it was quite the entertainment for the good day and a half right leading up to VGLs. But I was really happy to see that VGLs reinstated both teams. I think there was talk about them not playing. It's glad that they got to play, because those players are phenomenal, and they both actually. They went to the round of 32. They both passed their rounds. Both won their games, I think 2-0 each. So both TAS Team Sequence Break and Frame Perfect did a great job in their first showing in VGL, the winter season. So I'm excited that they didn't have to, unfortunately, disqualify themselves or whatever due to changing names. So a lot of you're gonna have this. I think B-Man is. Yeah. You're going to have these kind of situations as organizations try to learn how to run themselves as a business. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, Dragon, it's going to happen. I've never tried it. I don't know where I would start with it, but I would say, and as you mentioned, everybody knows everybody in this community, and I can see the pressure when something this potentially messy comes up, because gossip's getting out there and people are hearing things, to go online and to try and clear the air. But especially Twitter is a really rough place to handle your business, and arguing with anybody on the internet is never really going to make you feel better.
It really doesn't. Just word of advice if I could give to any leader of an organization is just make sure you guys keep things internally, have discussions internally. Do not vent or do not try to release and have arguments out on Twitter. It just doesn't help, even if you're trying to defend your position. And also, whatever you do not release confidential player contracts out in the open. It doesn't do anybody any good. So just something there. Someone saying Synergy don't want to play child support. So someone else is saying that Synergy's pulling out. I am really having a hard time believing this.
Yeah, that would be very surprising. I mean, we're already into the second round here. What would be the point in that?
Yeah, so I hope I'm getting trolled here. I don't see a lot. As for just quick updates to going in, it does look like the Sillies have swept Pretty Boy Swag. So it does look like their number 4 Sillies did just beat Pretty Boy Swag on stream, the number 5 seed. Not a lot of players from Pretty Boy Swag that I were familiar with, but they were ranked 4. The Sillies, though, is a very old team with Lola 420 and Silly Smurf and Mac Daddy B. Very well names known, some of them in Gangstars, actually. So just a little update there for you guys. That is right from the newsroom. Just happened literally on Twitch VGL stream 2 seconds ago. Speaking, though, of teams and players, just a quick recap. I guess there's some players that did switch around. We wanted to highlight some of them.
Yeah, you mentioned Gangstars, and Rumbly Superset is a pretty well-known guy in the community. He's got that huge YouTube channel, and he has been a member of Team Apex for quite a while now. I don't know if it's his entire career he's been with those guys, but I know he's really close with Ben Tim. And he announced recently he's moving over to Gangstars. But he is still playing on Team Apex for the tournament, probably, because it was such a recent move that they decided to keep the team together. And that's a great move, because him and Oracle and Ben Tim are a solid team. I think they'll do well.
Yeah, really, really surprised. He's still playing though in Apex for this event, but that was a recent shift in Team Apex's. Apex actually has been a pretty solid team the last VGL season into this season. Very good players. Some very high elo play. It just seems like as you see these bigger organizations like Gangstars and HH and Ardent start to grow, they're really going to pull and draw a lot of talent to them. They're going to, and especially if they're open to that, and they are. You see massive push coming out of Gangstars to acquire content creator talent and skill tier talent, and so Rumbly Superset being a perfect fit because he's both, and you just don't have a lot of that. So very surprising Rumbly going to Apex. I love Joseph though, as we talked about before, alluding, playing with Ardent Alliance. Very, very interesting move there. Again, something that, wasn't expected. And then I think the most notable North America move was Chicken123 leaving Liberation X, the winner of the VGL North America Finals, and then going to Nemesis Hydra.
Yeah, that is a big move. Yeah, and I mean, Liberation, they potentially lost I Love Joseph and Chicken123 recently, but we don't know how those moves were decided. But Chicken123 is going to be really solid on Nemesis Hydra. I think that could be a good move for them, and that's a really great team too.
I mean, I'm really excited to see. We're going to probably see Chicken123 playing. Nemesis Hydra actually a little bit of a difference. You actually see Gibbs on the roster, at least according to the VGL, as well as Chicken123. I have to imagine Gibbs, though, probably not a starter. I haven't seen a lot of him in the VGL action. But Chicken123 did a phenomenal job in the VGLs. You did see him, though, once T Tiger showed up, there was just not a lot of play time for Chicken123 to really do a lot on that roster. There was an absolutely full roster going into the VGL finals, all 6 members playing at some point. Not sure if he was left on his own accord or he was kicked. Some people in the community have alluded to that he was kicked. But now we're not going to speak to that. We don't know. I don't know.
Again, that drama. It gets around. Just don't talk about it on Twitter.
Just don't talk about it. Yeah, just don't bring that out, which I had not seen. So someone in the chat actually just says the real question is, where is Druid going?
Is Druid moving again?
So Druid was actually the newest member of Invincible Armada, and I've been hearing this. I've been hearing this all day. Druid is no longer in Invincible Armada. So that is the word on the street. That's not with VGL though, but that is with VIPL, and he being one of the best players in Korea. It is interesting to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I got to find out what happens there. That's going to be. He was a linchpin of Invincible Armada's whole tactic going into VIPL. But we are talking about VGL.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that was interesting, too, though, just to allude to that one more time, is that Invincible Armada almost did win. I mean, they almost came back. They had kind of, like, the last VIPL didn't do so well, didn't really have a good showing. They definitely had a good showing this year, so that's really exciting. Druid coming to NA confirmed on Vertigo TV. Whoa. We did not say any of the sort, so Chalupa, hold yourself there. Watch yourself.
I think Chalupa's just causing trouble today.
I think so, too. So anyways, guys, so yeah, I mean, a lot of people are out watching Vainglory VGL tournaments right now. There is a little bit of a lull going on there as we're getting ready for Gangstars Polaris versus Rough Riders. We will keep you guys up to date on everything that's happening in VGL, but as we move to our next topic, and this one is one that I think it's going to be very hard for us to fully understand. I don't think there's anywhere that fully confirms how this works out, but it's how to... As you see players move from Event 1 to Event 2, how are the points going to be allotted if players change, teams change?
Yeah, with everything that we're seeing lately with players moving around to different teams, should the points that a team earns, if Team A wins all these points and everybody except one guy leaves Team A, does that one guy still get to have all those points going into the second qualifier or even going into the finals? Where do those points go when the whole team is not there anymore? And what makes a team in that regard,
Yeah, and this happened to HH last season. So what happened with HH was there was a team called Team Rin, and it had I think it had Billy the Kid, and I believe it had Xenotech. And then there was also someone else from that Team Rin who ended up going to Ardent Axiom. And then the other members, though, went to, I don't have a J-Jax, but the rest of the members went to Halcyon Hammer's Force. And what ended up happening, though, is the points did not go with Xenotech. They went with J-Jax I believe. I may have my players mixed up, and they actually went to Ardent Axiom. Ardent Axiom got those points from the first qualifier, and they were able to actually qualify for the VGL finals, while Halcyon Hammers did not. That seems like a massive, massive, massive mistake, because you're now basically saying that one player deserved the points versus another player, even though those players went to completely different teams.
Yeah, yeah. I would really like to know the thought process behind that decision, because I almost feel like if the team is still established, especially if the team has the majority of its players still on it, they should retain the points. I think when you get down to one guy left on the team and he brings on a whole bunch of new players and still keeps that team name, that's a little bit of a gray area. I feel like the majority of the points or the points should go with the majority of the players, but it's a tricky situation wherever you go, because they earned them as a team and now they're not a team anymore.
My only critique of VGL over the course of last season, though, it comes down to this kind of topic. I think VGL, because of how young the game is way too forgiving to these kind of moves and trades. I don't think there should be any reason to transfer any points. Like, if you leave a team, you don't get the points. If your team name changes, you don't get the points. If you go from this team to that team, you shouldn't get the points. It should be, no, these points are assigned to this team under this branch. And also those rosters. And I can see having a rule that if some of your players leave, but the team stays in the same spot, and half of the players stay in the same spot, then those points stay there. But you run the risk of really unbalancing the brackets. You're saying, hey, we have this great team. Half our team leaves. We're not a great team anymore, but we're still going to get second place. That seems very, very chaotic. And honestly, you don't have to worry about where points go if you just say points don't go anywhere. And you're basically saying, yeah, you're forfeiting your points. One of the things you see a lot that really doesn't protect organizations right now in VGL is that players can go wherever they want without much repercussion. You almost need a system in place, at least per season, to ensure that teams can feel comfortable that their team is going to stay together for that season. Because if a player leaves a team that already has points from the first event, they can at least have to weigh the decision of, well, if I leave, I run the risk of not being able to qualify for the VGL finals on another team that doesn't have points.
Great idea. It's growing pains of the growing organization here. Yeah, I mean that's something we're all going to have to learn.
Yeah, I think VGL has to learn it. We saw a lot of bending over backwards last season from VGL. I'm hoping that they tighten it up a little bit. I hope that you don't see teams who their whole team can't go, so they are allowed to sub in players that weren't even on the team. I'm hoping you don't see that again. I'm hoping you don't see teams that really shouldn't have qualified but barely qualified get in, stuff like that. It's got to be very, very tight, and it's got to be all or nothing.
Yeah, a stricter rule set would definitely iron out a lot of these issues.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely something I saw, one of my complaints. We do see it. I'm hoping that this season we see less of that. A lot of the teams look very solid, although we may see it out of TAS. There's a lot we don't know that's going to happen to TAS still. We may see it out of other teams that did not. But if you didn't get points, so if you don't make it to the round 16, there are no points to even care about. It's those teams that make it to 16 that will be having to evaluate that as they go into the next event.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting to the fun part of the show, right as we get into reoccurring themes and metas. And there's a little game I like to play. We just invented it last night that Bremer are going to play, and it's going to be OP or not OP. I need like a theme song for that, like do 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 do. So every week when we do this kind of show, we are going to talk about a hero. Are they OP or not OP?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I know what you're gonna say. Petal is so OP right now.
Petal is not OP. Confirmed on VGL. Although I've heard rumblings that Petal could be in a strong spot if it were not for maybe some of the other OP heroes and for Sky, because Sky kills Petal.
Yes, she does. Absolutely. All right. No more tangents. Go ahead. Who do we got?
No more tangents. All right. So going into it, we are going to be talking about the one and only Kestrel. All right, so here's the job. You've got to basically, I'm going to present the case for why Kestrel is OP. You either agree or disagree, and then we have to play devil's advocate. We have to both find reasons why Kestrel's not OP. So on the surface, the facts provided to me, Kestrel's OP.
Okay.
First of all, her natural stats, her ability stats have an incredible inclination to something called Armor Pierce. Where she has natural piercing. She gets 20% pierce on her arrows and 40% pierce on her ultimate. when you overdrive those abilities. Which I don't know about you, I've only seen people overdrive those abilities. I've seen nobody overdrive her B ability, which allows her to disappear.
Yes, absolutely. I've never seen.
This is very similar to the situation that Jewel was when we saw a lot of Jewels running around, and the same thing is happening. We'll get to that in a second. So she has these natural things. She also has this incredible kit. She has 3 abilities, all are very, very strong, that you really don't see all 3 on the same hero, except for Kestrel. Kestrel, again, being a very strong hero. She has the ability to burst out 4 arrows within a second.
Mm-hmm.
She can literally attack you 4 times within a second and then auto attack. There's a slight reset on the cooldown for the auto attack after an arrow, but is there a reset? I don't actually remember.
You got me on that one.
But very, very fast short period. So she has a huge burst. And then when you break down the rest of her kit, she's got a global attack, a global ultimate. There's only one hero in the game that has global, and that's Celeste. And hers is instantaneous, like it's almost instant. There's no longevity to how the travel of her ultimate. It's instant travel.
Right.
And when you see heroes that have a built-in armor pierce, the first thing you always see is crit. You see players building items that give them huge amount of damage and crit. Because with pierce and with those items, you're talking about even more burst potential. And the last argument for why she's OP is she's been banned on almost every single VGL game. That tells you.
All right.
So now,
I'm going to take the job here of proving to you that she is not OP. I'm going to put on my best face that makes me think I believe what I'm saying. Okay. You listen to me for a second, Dragon. Kestrel is not even close to being overpowered. First of all, she is very, very weak. She's very squishy. She doesn't have a lot of speed. So if you've got someone like a Catherine on your side, pins her down in a second, she's in a lot of trouble. She's probably going to get taken out then. So with the well, not in VGL, but we do have another stun coming on the horizon with Rhyme, the stun / the root. Kestrel does have holes in her game. I would also say that her weapon power game or her Sorrow Blade into a hybrid build of Crystal are probably her stronger options. And building a good amount of health against that does give you a sustain longer. And she is not known for her sustain in a longer fight because she does have about a 3-second cooldown on those arrows. So once those arrows are gone, if she misses even one of those, doesn't take out her target, she is exposed. And she doesn't have an immediate cooldown on her B ability. She does have a cooldown on her B ability, which doesn't allow her to dip out the way Taka can.
All right, I'll give you that. Catherine hard counters Kestrel.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that stun, and there's that Storm Guard that can reflect some of the damage. But, you've got one hero that can counter. When you're doing bans, you can ban that out right away. You can ban a Catherine if you're going to play Kestrel. Or the fact that Kestrel's banned every game anyways and nobody can even play her is testament to it. But and yet you still see Kestrels in being banned or in every game, even though you have this hard counter. So the question is that counter hard enough? Is that hard enough? And the squishy part would be sustaining, but the really good players, they can disappear. So one of her other abilities is she can disappear for a second like Taka.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't see her, there's no way you're going to be able to kill her right off the bat unless you have the massive AoE coming in already. I think that this is an issue that you run into when you see natural crit built into these abilities like you do on, and they had to pull Jules of crit all the way back. I think it was at 25%. They pulled it down to 15%. They maybe put it back up to 20%, but they reduced weapon ratios. She's got good weapon ratios on her arrows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The range too is excessive. It gets up to 12, I believe. It's very or over 9 range for sure, 10 range. It's as far as some of Scarf's pokes, but it's with no delay. It's almost instantaneous.
Look, I tried, but I admit that she's very strong right now, and I also think a big factor of hers, she has a relatively easy kit to get good at, not excellent at, but good. Sky is not an easy kit to get good at. There's a big ramp up in difficulty there. But she's amazing once you're a master of her. But Kestrel is a lot easier to learn. She's got a lower threshold of skill required,
And I think the closing arguments, though, is, there is ways to beat Kestrel, but there's heroes that have strong early game, And there's heroes that have strong late game. And then there's heroes that are pretty balanced all the way through. And then you have Kestrel. Kestrel has, when you build weapon Kestrel, she is very strong early game. Yes. And she is incredibly strong late game. And there's a little bit of a dwell there before you start building a lot of, like, before you build your Tyrant's Monocle, where she's maybe not super OP during the mid game. But your early game, she is devastating. I've seen players, they wrap all the way around to grab the front to get to the back if they're going against a Kestrel because of how fast she can get down there, clear, and then poke you to death. You made a valid attempt.
I tried,
but I'm afraid it's just not good enough. So unfortunately today I do have bad news, everybody. Kestrel's OP.
Oh.
She's OP. With unbelievable affirmation just from this VGL. Seeing all the bans, you see. I watched every single match. I saw one European match where they did not ban or play Kestrel. I think that might have maybe been a little bit of lack of knowledge on the meta that happened there. So that is very, very surprising to see a hero that strong going into VGL. It kind of sucks that you have to waste a ban pick on someone that even if you don't know they play the hero, you're so afraid of it.
Yeah. I think with the way the meta is right now, she is so strong early game, and I think that's where a lot of the inspiration for the ban comes because. If she can take you down early game and she can even get those weapon, get those items on her, you're not going to be able to catch back up. So I feel like that's where inspiration's coming from on behalf of the teams.
Right. So that's part of the meta. That's a little game we play, OP or not OP, and Kestrel's OP. Other cool meta stuff that happened, though, I did want to talk to you about. You had brought out great while we were doing the meeting minutes for this prep of this show was minion mines. Huge change to minion mines.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it. I went out, I did the research. Teams taking minion mines or not taking minion mines early. And from what I can tell, it seems like there is a slow, not instantaneous shift to taking minion mines in the 6 minute time. 6 minute mark.
Yeah. The change to the minion mines was a great idea, and I think it's going to once again speed up games in general. But yes, teams are taking it earlier because they're not worried about sacrificing anything to the enemy laner.
Yeah. So and there's really nothing you have to lose. You only have to gain.
Yeah.
It doesn't push. What I've been told is the new minion mines don't necessarily push, but because they're a little bit stronger around turrets, if your minion wave does push up the turrets, it can by default kind of push a little bit harder than normal, so it won't reset as fast, which is not really a push, but it's like basically a slower reset for the reset in the lane, which is basically a reset in the lane is when your minions push all the way up to the turrets destroy them all, and that allows the enemy minion wave to push back to the center of the lane, and that's called a lane reset. So you do see a slower reset if you do take it, but other than that, it's absolutely a better idea to do it. Just to give you guys some recaps of what we saw in this yesterday's VGL, we saw Gangstars taking minion mines under 7 minutes both games against Six Sins. They went right for it. From what I was told, Vertigo Black took minion mines within 5 minutes both their matches, and we also saw Pew 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 Laser in EU taking minion mines within 5 minutes as well. So. Clearly a shift, not for all teams. There were some teams that did not take minion mines like up to the 12-minute mark. I think there's a little bit of a lag or disconnect on how do you change this thing that you've been doing the same for like months and months and months.
Yeah, you got to change your whole mindset about that, your way to handle in that jungle and the lane together. I mean, I feel like I read the patch notes immediately, but I know a lot of people don't, and I'm out there in ranked getting pinged when we're at even 10 minutes. I'm trying to take the minion mine, and they're telling me not to. It's a much more of a beneficial thing to do, and I think we're going to see it under 10 minutes as the regular going forward.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to give you guys a quick VGL update. So Gangstars Polaris is actually playing the number 6 seed Rough Riders, and it is tied 1-1. Early game, they actually just paused the game. The game has been paused due to some potential lag that occurred. They've actually gone away from that game now. They're on the brackets in the main. So Gangstars Polaris, this is shocking. Gangstars Polaris was the third Gangstars team, a team that you felt with the addition of co-eds coming from, actually, there's another member that left Nemesis Hydra, went to Gangstars, did great in the VGL finals, but guys, this is really shocking. If Polaris gets knocked out in the second round, that would be a huge surprise.
I got one here for you, Dragon. Vanguard is up 1 game on Liberation X right now. That's the 8th seed to the 1 seed.
What?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, so they don't stream some of these games because they think it's going to be a landslide. But then you've got these teams that come out of nowhere. And guys, we're going to talk about Vanguards in just a little bit because Vanguards did very, very good. We'll show you, talk a little bit about them. They actually played very effectively. It was one of the closer matches and a great segue into it. So let's actually go to and jump to. We're going to show you some of the plays, really, really good team fight play coming out of Vanguards because they did a phenomenal job. Let's pull that up right now, the clip, and we're going to just play this for you right now. Really, really good play. Here you go. So this is one of the team fights. They've already cemented the lead. This was the game 2. This is the secure lead. You see really good stuns coming out of Jaja. Now, Jaja, he was actually on Ardent Axiom, I believe, before going on to Vanguard. So there you see nice ace coming out of Vanguard. They actually went on to win that game after they secured that ace. So really, really good job. And now it's really exciting to see that they may have a chance at actually beating Liberation X. Wow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but that's according to the website right now. The bracket is updated 1-0 for Vanguard.
Wow, maybe that's a typo. I don't know. We'll have to find out. That is really surprising. But there you saw the clip. Vanguard's a really, really strong team. They did a great job against their opponent in the first round. Very close. They were an 8 seed versus a 9 seed, and you don't know how that's going to go. But they won, and now they're showing hopefully showing some good play against Liberation X. One of the things we did want to talk about, though, I would say, and we want to kind of, as we start to wrap up this stream pretty soon here, we are going to be giving you guys updates on VGL. Actually, it does look like the stream is still not back up. So Gangstars Polaris versus the Rough Riders. Definitely seems like they're having some issues there. So going into it, though, one of the last games we want to talk about, and probably one of the most impressive games, is the Vainglory. Hold on, I gotta pull this up here for you guys.
Vain Nation?
Vain Nation actually had probably one of the most amazing comebacks. So they were a 7 seed going against a 10. I think we all agree they were expected to win. But something else happened. So we were expecting to win, but they came down. The first game, they were absolutely being annihilated. They were down 5 kills to 21, 20 minutes into the match. So even though they were being decimated on kills, and they had all but one of their turrets left, the enemy team, NTV Inferno, had all of their turrets left. They were able to get an ace right before the 20-minute mark, which leveled the gold. The gold bounties really started to favor them. And guys, you need to go see what happened next. So they're down 5 to 21. Inferno is coming into this. I mean, just take a look at this, what you guys are about to see. This is unbelievable, this comeback, as we're going to play this for you guys right here. Look at this, guys. Unbelievable play. You see, they got the team fight. They actually separate. The Black Fighter is so good at chasing 1v1. He's going to win every time. You see Cloudy going down thanks to the Catherine with the, Cloudy's actually attacking the Catherine with the Storm Guard. Probably a miscue. As you watch this again, look at Cloudy. He's trying to go. Oh, he's actually getting decimated by the Sky, and then he gets Storm Guard and stunned by the Catherine, and then they just chase the Arden there. Really, really impressive play by Team Vain Nation. It was a comeback. They actually go on to win that game, and they lose the second game, but then come back and win the third game. So really, really impressive play out of Team Vain Nation. Granted, they're only a 7 seed versus a 10, so it wasn't a huge surprise, but just the play style that was coming out of Inferno. I actually thought Inferno was going to beat them that first game, and they clearly showed they could beat them in the second game, but that first game comeback helped secure them in the blind picks, and they go on to beat Inferno and head on to the round of 32.
Yeah, really nice team fight there. Blackfeather is fantastic at helping to split a team because the way he can chase somebody down, they have no choice but to try and back off and kite him. And kiting Blackfeather is never, doesn't usually go well for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a huge turning point in that game. If you watch that game, you guys can go back and watch that on the Twitch channel for Vainglory League. They went back. They actually got Kraken pushed all the way down to one turret. It was tied 1 turret apiece, and then they had one more team fight, and it was an ace going to Vainglory Nation. So really big shout out to them. That clearly has to be the comeback of the VGL for week 1, at least so far. So really, really huge shout out to them for that.
Congrats to them, absolutely. And I don't think that's the last we'll see of Inferno either.
It's not. So we actually, just a quick little update. The Rough Riders game versus Gangsters Polaris is back up. It is 1-5 in favor of Gangsters Polaris. They are winning the game somewhat handily, but it's 15 minutes into the game, and it does appear like there is not even, but a one turret disadvantage going on. So 20 minutes or 15 minutes into the match, Rough Riders not down by a whole lot. They're only down by 6k gold. So make sure you guys go check that out. And this is going to be it for Vertigo TV. You've been watching the Vertigo TV Special Edition. By the way, the game, yeah, we just saw it's back up. Hey, Frost, can you actually confirm if Synergy is playing today versus Vertigo Black? They should be playing right now.
Well, thanks for having me on, Dragon. I'm really excited for next weekend. I believe they are going to officially allow Rhyme to be selected. I feel like we're going to see some Rhyme play next weekend.
Yeah, you know what? Oh, looking forward. We got to talk about that real quick. We're not done yet, guys. We're not done yet. Let's go to the bracket. We're going to get you guys into this bracket right now. So looking ahead, we've got a lot of fun stuff. You did mention that Rhyme will be in the bracket going into next week, going into the second week, full week of VGL. You do see Gangster Sirius did take an early 1 lead. I do believe they beat Team Protector. They are the number 1 seed. So we're looking at the Catherine bracket. And then Nemesis Titan and Predators Raptors are scheduled to play. That is going to be a match you guys really want to watch today. Probably going to be happening shortly after the Gangsters Vega Lady Hammers. Gangsters Polaris versus the Rough Riders match. So a lot of exciting matches happening. You also have Velocity versus Vaughn Langbai, and that's a very exciting match too. Vaughn is very notorious for having a very strong comp and hero selection and depth. So not the same Vaughn that you see normally, but you do see on Vaughn's team a lot of interesting team comps going on. Players, you got Lost Boy Echo, then you got Hawks and Young Dog. Not a lot of names that you're probably familiar with all the time, but some pretty good teams there for sure. The Adagio bracket, again, we said Vanguard. I can't believe this is true. Vanguard up on Liberation X. Seems very, very hard to believe. So we're
pretty crazy.
It's very crazy. So we don't know if there's an update there. We'll let you guys know as soon as we know. And then, of course, we've got Team Penetrate going against Team Apex. Guys, Team Penetrate is only ranked 4, but very, very high elo team. They had a lot of very, very strong players, so very excited to see how that goes. And then you've got going on to the Rhyme bracket. Some matches to watch for sure is going to be the Nemesis's third team versus Ardian Axiom. Vertigo Black versus Quantum, if it does happen. Quantum much lower than it would suggest in skill tier, but I don't know if that's actually happening. Frostglaive did update us into the chat though. He said, we are waiting for confirmation. They are currently saying that they may not have a third to play. Synergy had a family emergency on their side. Oh, that's not great. Moving on to the Ringo bracket, you've got some of the watch. The Sillies did win 2-0. You saw them win on stream. You've got Taz Frame Perfect versus Team Vane Nation. So Team Vane Nation was the team I was telling you about. That really surprising comeback, really strong play. Taz Perfect, a very good team as well. We'll see if they can fend off this potential Cinderella story out of Team Vane Nation. We'll see if that happens, if they can become the Cinderella. Oh, wow. Cinderella.
Yeah, talking for an hour will do that to you, right?
Yeah, it will. And then, of course, lastly, we've got in the Ringo bracket, Liberation Y versus Kinetic. Kinetic is actually a Halcyon Hammer team, not officially affiliated with Halcyon Hammer. So Halcyon Hammers actually has 4 teams, only 3 of which are officially part of them. But really excited to see what happens. You've got a lot of good teams moving on to the round of 16, out of the round of 32. These brackets are insane, but I think the Catherine bracket is the most exciting one to watch because you've got some massive teams here. You've got Gangsters Vega, Sirius, and HH Velocity, as well as Preds and Nemesis Titan, all very good teams. So really excited to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, this round's going to be great, and especially next week. Oh man, those semis are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming by. It was absolutely a blast having you. B-Man, as always, thanks for this amazing episode of Vertigo TV.
Thank you, Dragon. Looking forward to next week. This would be awesome.
All right, man. For all you guys who haven't clicked the follow on the channel, make sure you hit the follow. Make sure you guys go check out the Vertigo Open Community Band and follow us on Twitter at Vertigo VG. Make sure you guys check out Breeman. He is the man. So make sure you guys check him out. Also, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter as well. I am on Twitter, and I also stream on Camcord at Dragonborn. And also VG Dragonborn is my Twitter handle. So that's a mouthful there as well. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for coming out. It's been a pleasure talking about VGL. Go watch these matches. And we'll be here next week at 5 p.m. to talk more about VGL and hopefully have a really awesome set of clips and highlights for you guys. See you later.